Okay, you saw the thumb and title before you clicked on this, so there isn't really a big reveal to be had. So let's dive straight into unboxing what is, as of end of 2025, the pinnacle of PC gaming, the mighty RTX 5090. The example I have here is from Palette, and it features their signature 5000 series psychedelic aesthetic. I don't really have a ton of things to say about this card, as every single 5090 on the market is so overbuilt it seriously does not matter which one you choose. From the air quotes MSRP models all the way to the crazy limited edition gold cards that cost as much as a brand new hatchback. And they all have to be, considering it comes with an out of the box TDP of 575 watts. Somehow that still sounds like some sort of crazy joke. And while in the past I have bought FE cards, this time I stayed away because of what I find to be rather high memory temperatures in the mid 90s, while the partner models do not have this issue. Fun fact, as of writing, you can freely purchase an RTX 5090 direct from Nvidia for £1,799, which is a massive £500 less than I paid for my own personal 5090 just 3.5 months ago. Ouch. Now, while I'm unboxing this Frozen Warframe AIO, I think I need to explain that no, I haven't lost my marbles. I am very much aware a 5090 PC is never going to be value for money, no matter how much I evangelize that concept on this channel. But there are people out there that are at the same time single-minded enough, to use the least offensive phrasing I can think of, and fortunate enough to afford the 5090 gaming PC. So for those people, I'm going to do my level best to pull a bit out of the hat. I will endeavor to build a PC with parts that almost all come with warranty for up to £300 more than I paid for my personal 5090. Yes, you heard that right. Still, I can't call it good value for money with a straight face, but I will say that if I had known this will be possible when I handed my money over to Nvidia, I would have waited. Now we start the build with a motherboard, an X670E from MSI that has been upgraded to the latest BIOS. I got this open box, and after checking the bill of material, I believe it is actually the only item without a full warranty. Not bad for a quote-unquote used PC. The CPU is of course the incredible 9800X3D. What else could I have chosen? A 9900X3D really doesn't make a whole lot of sense here, as we are doing our best to keep the whole thing on budget, and for gaming it's actually slower. The 9900X3D I will never buy unless I find it for a ridiculous deal, as it's not amazing for gaming, comparatively that is, because it only has 6 cores with a faster cache. So really we're left with only one proper choice. The SSD is a brand new 2TB NVMe PCIe 4.0 drive, a CV7000. Sure, I can't justify a PCIe 5.0 drive, as currently they make no sense, but I did not cheap out with a slow drive either. I did do a bit of research before purchasing this particular one, and I was satisfied that both endurance and performance are up to spec. And yeah, I would rather buy a brand new drive for this project than use a pre-owned one. The RAM though is not new. It's a pre-owned kit that I got from CX, so it comes with a full 5-year warranty, and it's the same kit I use in my personal machine, just 32 gigs. I really can't say anything bad about it. And now while reading this, I just realized this computer has 32 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of VRAM. I'm quite sure that's never happened before. Anyway, that aside, the Trident Z's got RGB and it overclocks like a dream if you feel inclined to experiment for fun. Otherwise, the Expo 6000 Mbps CL30 is the absolute sweet spot for this riser. Now it's time to get the whole thing situated into its case, and today I'm using the very stylish Apex Vision. A brand new case whose main claim to fame is a rather fetching vertical display on the front. It's very similar to the Height Y60 Touch, but at roughly a third of the price. This isn't really a case I would recommend a novice builds in. I knew what I was getting into, but I wanted that filled up PC case look with the extra bling to boot. Of course, there are enough fans in here to keep everything nice and cool, and before I forget, the whole thing is powered by a Corsair 1000 watt PSU equipped with a brand new 6x2 cable. I made sure I bought the correct version, because, well, if you know anything about 4090s and 5090s, very obvious melty reasons. The one thing I kinda chose to sacrifice is the AIO. As you can see, it has a very gold trim around the screen, and that really bothered me to the point where I moved it and made it silver. Yes, I probably sacrificed the warranty, but I simply couldn't stand it. And finally, the GPU goes in. And for everyone yelling at their monitor that I should have done a vertical mount, 1. I've already done that with the 5070 Ti which has an identical cooler, and 2. Good luck finding a PCIe 5.0 riser that actually works. Sure, you can dumb it down to PCIe 4.0 and it will most likely work like a charm with minimal performance loss, but after deep diving the topic, the number of reports that these GPUs do not play nice with the first gen PCIe risers have made me go for the safe options, which is installing it horizontally. And now for the pretty pictures. What do you think? Was I justified in selecting the case, or would you have preferred something massive just for the sake of it? Starting off with Heaven, and finally, I knew this day was coming, I just didn't want to believe it. Heaven has been soundly defeated by a GPU. It can no longer occupy its full attention as it returns over 500 FPS on average at 1440p. And that is, well, that's insane. So after just shy of 16 years, I need to find a new favorite benchmark. Enter 3D Mark. This was surely pushed to the GPU to, no, it's still considerably under max TDP. It does seem that the only way you can get this GPU to fully utilize its power budget is with a power virus like FireMark. Incidentally, I did just that because I wanted to make absolutely sure that there isn't some sort of limitation placed on the card. For instance, some cables or PSUs will report a maximum delivery power of under 600 watts, usually 450, and the GPU will stick to that. Happy to report that's not the case here, and when running full mark, it utilizes the full 575 watts. Rocket League's a bit of a joke on this PC. At over 800 frames per second, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say about it. Try 8K? And although the car looks the same, in Fortnite though, there's a different story altogether. With recommended settings we get a very good 175 FPS on average on the Rocket test track. And with absolute max possible settings and completely native resolution with AA, I observe around 124 FPS on average, which I mean does really show that Fortnite is now a reasonably hard game to run. Horizon Forbidden West without any upscaling at max settings and with DLAA to boot, which by the way I'm now convinced there isn't anything deep learning-y about it, it's just rendering 4K internally and presenting a 1440p image, looks absolutely stunning, as good as it can possibly look, and it still runs with about 130 FPS on average, oscillating between 120 and 150 depending on the scene, but without any jarring frame time spikes, which makes it feel buttery smooth on my 165Hz G-Sync monitor. Black Myth Wukong with DLAA no less, again running at a higher resolution than 1440p, and with everything else set to cinematic, produces 66 FPS on average. For anyone paying attention, this is incredible. There really isn't another GPU out there that has any chance of getting anywhere near this result. And because it's over 60 FPS, I would say, go on, hit the frame generation toggle and enjoy one of the best looking games out there. Assassin's Creed Shadows, with everything maxed out plus DLAA, returned 80 FPS on average in the benchmark, but as I'm playing this game actively I can tell you that during gameplay this is significantly higher. Again, it's difficult to not just recommend turning on FrameGen with native AA for a 130 FPS experience with literally no downsides. For a feature that was marketed as uplifting a 5070 to the level of 4090, it sure seems to me that really the only valid use case is when you are playing on literally the absolute best hardware money can buy. Well, maybe also including a 5080, but that's all the wiggle room I see in there. Definitely not something you want to try on a 5070, as the experience will be atrocious. Farcry 6 at max settings returns a very respectable 176 FPS on average. This is the absolute best case scenario, having a 9800 X3D latest gen chip in there, pushing it as far as it will go. I'm sure that with a bit of tweaking can be made to run with ever so slightly higher FPS, but honestly, why? This is such a good experience, there really is no need to fiddle around the edges, just go and enjoy the game. In Indiana Jones, in the intro scene, I would actually opt to leave DLSS on quality. Why? Because the amount of RT this game leverages makes it look awesome, but it also feels a little bit tech demo-y. Think Control 6 years ago. And I feel that DLSS actually works very well here. But what about DLAA, I hear you ask? Well, surprisingly, even with it on, it still returns above 60 FPS. I mean, wow, I'm shocked how well this actually runs. But the thing is, the DLSS implementation is so good in this game, I can't really tell it apart between DLSS set to quality mode and DLAA. And then of course I decided to be a little bit silly and go frame gen 3x, 4x for big number, go insane. For me, this could go either way, DLAA and frame generation, or for what I believe is a slightly better experience in this particular case, DLSS set to quality. But no matter what, I think you'll have a great time even if you opt for something a bit more extreme like VR. Dragon Age is the first game I played when I got my own 5090, and as you can see, even in the super chaotic opening scene where most GPUs struggle and the frame times look like a seesaw, the 5090 just brute force its way through, making everything look buttery smooth. Sure, the frame rate does oscillate a bit, because it is such a demanding scene, but crucially it is always high enough that the differences never feel noticeable. And finally, Cyberpunk 2077. Finally a good reason to upgrade it to the latest patch, because let's be honest, this is the benchmark for the foreseeable future. I did opt to let DLSS on this time with the new transformer model on auto, and it was good for 110 FPS on average with path tracing. And for anyone interested, without DLSS the average is 63 FPS, still really good. And if you wanna go down the frame generation route, well, that works too. And that's it. I really doubt I will top this build in raw performance for some time to come. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.